one. You know, it's amazing what the media in this country think is the number one priority, mostly themselves. On and on and on. Hey, there's a new press secretary for the president. It's going to be Jay Carney. Who gives a damn? The guy used to be a reporter. So all he's done is finally come out of the closet as an overt Obama supporter rather than a covert one. But hey, Jay Carney. Who cares? Screw Jay Carney. Look around you on the East Coast. Do you realize the government shut down early yesterday and the government opened late today? That would include over there at the Environmental Protection Agency. That would include over there at the NOAA, as they call it. The very leftist ideologues dressed up as scientists and bureaucrats who are pushing out regulations to control industry, to control you, chasing this fraud called global warming. Those very people couldn't get into work today and had to leave early yesterday because of this record winter cold and snow. And in New York, as reported on the Drudge Report, it's the snowiest January in New York City history. Meanwhile, the agenda moves on. It doesn't matter what the science really shows. It doesn't matter what's happening with the climate. We've got to control greenhouse gases because the Earth's getting warm. No, it's not getting warm. Another report said the ocean in recent decades, the warmest year was 1998, and it's cooled. Oh, that doesn't matter. We got our regulations ready to go. We've got our agenda. I've got another article here from the Telegraph. Interesting, this article's not in the Washington Compost or the New York Slimes or the Philadelphia Inquirer or the L.A. Slimes. No. The Telegraph, Britain. The Himalayan glaciers are actually advancing rather than retreating. Remember all that? Oh, the Himalayas are melting. Oh, my God, the Himalayas! Claims the first major study since a controversial UN report said they would be melted within a quarter of a century. All these lies. Now demonstrably false. But they move on. They keep going. We got to get these regulations out. Don't you believe in clean air? Don't you believe in clean water? Researchers have discovered that contrary to popular belief, half of the ice flows in the mountain range are actually growing rather than shrinking. The discovery adds a new twist to the row over whether global warming is causing the world's highest mountain range to lose its ice cover. Further challenges claims made in a 2007 report by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that the glaciers would be gone by 2035. Glaciers are not going to be gone by 2035. The ocean is not going to rise 10 feet by 2035. Climate is what climate does. I mean, this is... So New York City, you've experienced the snowiest January in history. But your senators and your congressmen keep pushing the global warming agenda. Now, the other week I said that I am forming a group called Americans for Carbon Dioxide. That is Americans for CO2, and I want you to join me because if you join me, if we can actually increase the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, increase greenhouse gases, that is, increase the amount of plant life, and hence oxygen on Earth, it'll warm up ever so slightly. It'll help agriculture. It'll reduce our use of fossil fuels because the planet will become a little warmer. According to the left, right? So please join me, Americans for Carbon Dioxide, Americans for CO2, so we don't have to keep suffering through the snowiest January in history. Oh, those of you who don't get snow, well, it's been cold. About a month ago, remember California? Remember Florida? It was brutal. So you should join me too. Americans for Carbon Dioxide. Every one of these groups, they lobby, they promote. Well, I think we need one too, to counter the junk science and the flat earthers. And what's amazing is no amount of evidence, no amount of history, no amount of experience diverts the left from their agenda. Whether it's spending, whether it's global warming, whether it's anything else. It's full steam ahead, no matter the consequences. Conservatism is not just about advancing the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Conservatism is about saving and securing this society, period, from these loons on the left. And look here, you wake up this morning, right? There's Associated Press. It's finally happened. We knew it would, and it's here. Social Security will post nearly $600 billion in deficits over the next decade as the economy struggles to recover and millions of baby boomers stand at the brink of retirement, according to new congressional projections. This year alone, it's projected to collect $45 billion less in payroll taxes than it pays out in retirement, disability, and survivor benefits. So says the Congressional Budget Office. And that figure swells to $130 billion when a new one-year cut. Oh, go on and on. Here's the point. What are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it? So far, nothing. The Levin proposal, I've mentioned this repeatedly, is really the Goldwater proposal. Something has to be done about Social Security so that in 30, 40, 50 years from now, the young people in this country who will be collecting it or be close to collecting it won't be crushed with burdens that we're creating today. And anytime you say anything like that, anytime you honestly want to address this in a way that does not really affect, let alone harm, people who are on Social Security now or near Social Security now, but future generations, the young people in this country, you get guys like Chuck Schumer jumping up and saying, hey, they want to kill senior citizens. They want to steal their Social Security. How does a nation govern itself with demagogues like Schumer? How can we ever save ourselves from what everybody says is unsustainable when we have demagogues like Chuck Schumer? So we shouldn't do anything with Social Security? Let me tell you what happens if we do nothing with Social Security. Not even what I'm suggesting, which should be politically acceptable to everybody. Social Security will go under. It won't work. Because it'll suck down the society just as Medicare and Medicaid will. And Obamacare, for that matter. Frédéric Bastiat. Ever hear Frédéric Bastiat? If you listen to this show, you certainly have. This show's a little different. You know, we go into philosophy and history and some of the greats and so forth. And I like, if you haven't heard of them, to introduce you to them. Because all the thinking that's going on in the world didn't happen today, doesn't happen today, and doesn't come out of the mouths of politicians. There have been many great minds throughout human history. And they're worth reading and thinking about. Frédéric Bastiat was one of them. He only lived to be 49. He died of tuberculosis. And he saw his precious France spiraling into this collectivist, centralized mode. And he wrote about it. The law. And you know what's interesting? It's not a real thick book. It was mostly a pamphlet. It was his responses to what he saw going on in the French government. He worked in the legislature there for a while. And he said what he saw, this socialism. The few plundering the many and everybody plundering everybody else. Now, none of the hosts on radio and none of the commentators on TV, including Fox, have ever mentioned Frédéric Bastiat, just as they had never mentioned Saul Alinsky or all the rest, Cass Sunstein. So I introduce you to him as I introduce Bastiat to all the others, the backbenchers. because he's very, very important. I also quote him in Liberty and Tyranny. But is that not true? What is Social Security but plundering by everybody against everybody? And the government wants it that way. Schumer wants it that way. He doesn't give a damn about the sustainability of Social Security. We know it's going to collapse. It is going to collapse. And I'm not talking about you folks who are on it right now, for future generations. So what? Schumer figures what? 2, 3 more terms? It's not his problem. His problem is really maintaining power. He wants to be majority leader one day. He wants to win elections. He's not going to address this. Let somebody else deal with it. He'll demagogue it till he's blue in the face. He's utterly irresponsible human being. But that's what it is. It's everybody plundering everybody else. In fact, it's so confusing that in the end it's simple, isn't it? They set up this program in the 1930s. It really didn't involve everybody. It was an unemployment and pension plan. Really a pension plan for people who likely wouldn't be able to put money aside. And then it kept changing and changing and changing. Disability, then young people, then this, then that covered. Just expanded and expanded. So did the amount of the payroll deduction. And it was set up based on a trust fund that they never set up. Social Security, the Act, which also, as I said, covered unemployment, was challenged in federal court. Went all the way to the Supreme Court. While Franklin Roosevelt was telling the public it is an insurance plan, his lawyers were telling the Supreme Court it's not an insurance plan, it's a tax. There's no trust fund. It's a tax. We raise the money and we put it into general operating funds. On that basis, the Supreme Court upheld it as a tax, like an income tax. Notice in the healthcare debate, they've done the same thing, but they've been caught by the likes of me and Landmark Legal Foundation and Attorney General Cuccinelli in Virginia, where they argued, oh, no, this isn't a tax, it's a penalty. Even Obama did. And then they went in the court and they tried the same tactic that was tried by the government 75 years ago. No, it's a tax, they told the court. And we said, excuse us. Here's what Obama said on TV. Here's what they said in the Congress. It's not a tax, it's a penalty. If they want a tax, they've got to make it an actual tax. Tell us what kind of tax it is, and show us the legislative history to support it. Oh, we caught them on that one. But you see the point? They set up these programs to fail. What they want is your money. Oh, so for a period of time, even a long period of time, it'll work. That's how Ponzi schemes work. All the people, all of you folks who've poured so much money into Social Security, it's gone. That's why this year there's not going to be $45 billion enough to cover it. Can you imagine if you had a mutual fund or a private pension plan and suddenly they say, oh, we can't cover it. We used all that money for somebody else. What would happen to those people? Shouldn't Schumer be in prison? Oh, no. Let's cheer him on. Meanwhile, where is the Democrat proposal, the liberal proposal for addressing Social Security? If they believe, as they say, they want to save Social Security, well, the status quo and ignoring it won't save it. It will destroy it. So where are the Obama, Reid, Pelosi, DNC left-wing proposals for saving Social Security?